Today's episode of This Week in Startups is brought to you by Desk.com, the all-in-one customer support app for fast-growing companies. Visit Desk.com/twist to get your service desk up and running today for as low as $3 per month. And by Sharefile from Citrix, secure file transfer built for business. Visit Sharefile.com. Click on the microphone and enter TWIST for a free 30-day trial. And by AWS Activate, the Amazon Web Services startup program. It's easy to start and scale your business with AWS. Visit aws.amazon.com/activate.
Hey everybody, it's Jason Calacanis, and this is This Week in Startups. Today on the program, the founder of DogVacay. Yes, it's Uber for pet sitting, and they're closing in on 1 million nights stayed. Stick with us, you're going to hear an amazing story from 0 to 1 million nights stayed in just over 2 years. It's going to be amazing. Stick with us.
That's what it's all about, man. They said money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you. Yeah. Money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you.
Hey everybody, welcome to This Week in Startups. I'm Jason Calacanis. You can find me on the Twitter at Jason. And you can find this show, This Week in Startups, at thisweekinstartups.com. Good guess. And on Twitter at TWI Startups. What do we do on this program? Well, if it's your first time tuning in, it's very simple. I sit down with entrepreneurs, investors, and I talk about the process of starting companies and building products. Entrepreneurship, as you know, is driving the entire American economy. It's where most new jobs come from, and it's where young people want to be today. They want to start companies, and they want to change the world. Sometimes they have a sense of mission. Sometimes they want to make a lot of money, but they definitely want to control their own destiny, and being an entrepreneur is the best way to do that. So each week on Tuesdays and Fridays, we have this show. We've been doing it for 5 years, and we've had all the most amazing entrepreneurs on the program and investors. And today will be no different. With me today, Aaron Hirschhorn, who is the founder or co-founder?
Founder. And top dog.
Woof woof, CEO of DogVacay, which you started just 2 years ago.
That's right.
Or so. I remember you came and you pitched me on the business.
That's right.
And I was like, yeah, I kind of like it. I'm not sure. So since that time, you have absolutely proven me to be a complete idiot for passing on investing in this. You've raised over $20 million for the business, hundreds of thousands of dog nights staying there. Tell me, what was the inspiration for starting this business, first of all? And then what has been the major catalyst for this enormous success?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks for having me.
Yeah,
it's great to be here.
Yeah.
I am a dog owner, or as dog parent, as a lot of us say in the
industry. What kind of dog do you have?
I have a golden retriever poodle mix right now.
A golden
Rocky.
Retriever.
A golden doodle.
A golden doodle.
Yeah.
Is that done on purpose, or is it just a mutt?
Yeah, no, that's an on-purpose thing. So
a golden doodle.
A golden doodle. So
wow.
They have the qualities of a golden retriever, which are awesome dogs.
Yeah.
But there's hair everywhere, right?
Oh my God.
Golden retriever. So this is mixed with the poodle. You don't have hair everywhere.
Ah.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. So you have a designer dog.
I have a designer dog.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay, so you love dogs.
Love dogs.
And you're an entrepreneur, and you say, what, I have a pain point here? I can't find anywhere that I trust with my dog?
Sort of. So I had an experience where my fiance at the time, now my wife, we went to visit our family on the East Coast, Philadelphia and Miami, did the East Coast swing, 10-day trip. We put 2 dogs at the time. I had another one, Rambo. I'm from Philly, so Rocky and Rambo.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we put Rocky and Rambo in a kennel in Los Angeles. And 10-day trip, we come back, total bill $1,400, and Rocky is hiding under my desk for 2 days after.
Wow.
And we're like, oh man, this is a crappy experience for the dogs, a crappy experience for the humans because it costs a lot of money, and I have no idea what went down there.
Right. This is a kennel or like an individual?
No, it's a kennel.
So it's a kennel, like a storefront. And they charge you $70 a night per dog.
Yeah, it ends up being, because you could pay for an extra walk, that's $7, and then you pay for like extra 30 minutes of not being in a cage.
So it's incredibly frustrating that your tickets to go to the East Coast were less than...
Yeah, it cost more than our trip.
Cost more than your trip, basically.
And it was a crappy experience. So we started,
your dog was cowering, which means the dog was either hit or, God forbid, or maybe he was, like just getting attacked by other dogs and they didn't step in? You don't know.
You don't know, and that's part of the big problem. You have no freaking idea.
Yeah.
So we started to say this is a broken market, and I actually looked at some kennels. Thought maybe can I buy a kennel? And but they're crappy businesses too. It's high fixed costs, and you have really bad capacity utilization challenges because it's a seasonal business in the summertime.
Capacity
utilization. So
okay.
as a
say that in
hotel,
English. Yeah. Explain it to me.
Yeah. So as a hotel, for example, similar to a hotel, you're busy during peak season, summertime, Christmas. Your kennel's full.
Right.
But then September, October, you're empty, and you're stuck with all these high fixed costs. Plus, there are no economies of scale across kennels.
Got it.
So save for a back office system, you can't really scale 2 kennels, 3 kennels, 4 kennels.
Got it.
And it's a bad experience for the dog. So not interested in that. What else can we do? So my wife and I start with a single Yelp listing. We called it Aaron's Home Dog Boarding. And put it on Yelp. And she said to me, she actually put it up. God bless her.
Yeah.
She put it up there and she said, we're in business now. We're in the dog boarding business. And I was
Wait,
like,
now you did this to make money? Or you did it as an experiment?
We did this to make money and as an experiment. And I just love dogs and we thought it'd be a lot of fun.
What were you doing before this? So were you like a broke dude who just needed to make some side money and wanted to pay your rent by doing...
A little bit of that. I'd been working. I went to business school, so I knew a little bit.
Which one, Harvard?
UCLA. So,
UCLA.
Yeah,
okay, so pretty good.
It's okay, So I knew a little bit about a little bit.
Okay.
And then I ended up working for Monitor Group doing some consulting and for Monitor Ventures in their venture arm. Now, that fund was at the end of its life, and so I was sort of looking for the next gig, and I could use the money.
Yeah.
So let's put up a dog boarding listing on Yelp and see what happens.
And did you get anybody who?
Nobody called.
Really?
Nobody called.
Fascinating.
Well, we didn't have any. We didn't have any reviews. We had a couple pictures, and you need some social proof there.
Yeah.
But about 2 months later, I get a phone call. This girl is absolutely frantic, and she goes, "Oh my God, my friend canceled on me. Do you have any spots left for tonight?" And I said, "Let me check the calendar." Yes, 1 spot left. And she goes, "What do you charge?" And I go, $50 a night. She goes, "I'll be there in 5 minutes."
Perfect.
So she drops off her dog, Chelsea. And I remember the dog's name, not the human's name.
Yep.
But the dog, Chelsea, played with Rocky and Rambo. We had a blast for the weekend.
Right.
My wife says she's never seen me as happy.
Yeah.
So she writes a glowing 5-star review. They sent us photos. It was awesome. I get another call a couple weeks later. And then the business takes off. Next thing we know, we are generating 5 to 10 calls a day for dog boarding in our house. So my wife quits her job. We start watching dogs full time. And this is in 2011. So we watched over 100 dogs in 8 months, made 30 grand in cash, helped pay for our wedding.
Holy cow.
And then we said, there's a real business here.
And is there any... do your neighbors start going like, "Hey, what's with the 8 dogs? Is there some legal issues around it?" Because obviously you hear about Airbnb, and you're kind of the Airbnb of dogs, and they get into all kinds of weird things in different markets, and some they're in the clear, and others maybe not so much, and in some buildings they're okay, but not other buildings. How does it work with dog sitting?
It is certainly a similar dynamic in the sense that the regulations that govern it differ not just by state, but by city block because of different zoning stories.
Wow.
In general, you're okay. In general, for example, in California, the rule is if you have more than 3 dogs, then you're technically a kennel or a breeder and you need a license, even if they're your dogs. So if you own 4 dogs, you need to get that license.
Right.
But if it's 3 or less, you're fine.
And what does a kennel license entail? Can you run a kennel out of your private home like people run nursery schools?
It depends on the area. It depends on the area. And again, we'll differ by city block. But in general, as long as you keep the number of dogs low, you're totally fine. And that's what we do as a company. We cap the number of dogs you can watch at 3. So we feel that not only is that a better experience, but that's also safer, legally and everything else.
And so anybody can sign up to be a dog sitter on Yelp like you did. On DogVacay, which is kind of scary, right? Like you could bring your purebred bulldogs, and then you could go to pick them up, and the person's not there anymore.
Yeah.
And they've absconded with your dog.
Yeah,
so
not often that I think that happens. But
no, but you could come back and your bulldog could have died from heat exhaustion because the person doesn't know how to deal with bulldogs, which are very particular breeds.
That's right.
And so how does one become a DogVacay person? Because my wife and I are going away in July.
All right.
To Italy, and we were on DogVacay this past 2 weeks interviewing people.
All right.
So I would like to go back to my wife and explain to her how we know that these people are vetted and are going to do a good job.
And I think that's, as you pointed out, that's the biggest difference between Yelp and Craigslist and Google and all those things, is that not only are we going through a vetting process, but we're supporting the host and the customers from end to end. I'd love to talk about that too.
Yeah. So
to become a host, there's a 5-step process that we put people through. There's an online application. We check references. There's training. So you actually watch videos and take quizzes about how to care for dogs.
Wow.
And then we do a 30-minute onboarding phone interview and screen.
Right.
So if you pass those things and your profile is ready to go, you're now approved on the site.
Got it.
The last step, what I call the fifth step, is your interview process, which you've already gone through. So at no cost, no obligation, you can do a meet and greet.
Yep.
Go visit the home. Go see how the dogs interact with each
Right.
other. You have 2 bulldogs, right?
I have 2 bulldogs,
So
yeah.
see how they play with the host. See how they play with the host dogs if the host has dogs, and you get a really good feeling for them. So you're doing your own interview.
And that's
as
a key innovation there, is that you force your hosts to do the visit for free.
Yes.
And then you
I wouldn't use the word forced, but we give
they're
them
required.
we give them the opportunity. It's not required.
It's not required. Oh.
If a host wants to accept a dog sight unseen based on the profile
Got it.
or even a phone, totally fine. We give the host control. So let's say you're a host, if you don't want to watch a 150-pound unneutered pit bull, your call.
Yeah, no, I get that
Yeah.
part. But I'm talking about, like, can somebody be on the system and not let me come do a tour? I'm wondering.
You would just not use them.
You would just not use them if they don't. Got
Yeah,
it. Okay.
absolutely. If you want to use,
Because it did
it's
seem
important.
like people were very open to taking tours. Like they were saying in their profiles, like, yeah, we do tours,
Yeah.
do tours, come by, whatever.
Very common. About more than 2/3 go through the meet and greet in advance. Yeah.
So has this become, in the way that Airbnb has become a full-time job for some people, has this generated jobs in the economy?
100%.
Take me through that. Like, what's an example of somebody? You have to give me their exact name,
Yeah,
but their profile and what happened to them in their life.
Yeah, so I've got a couple interesting stories, and I can tell you about the different types of hosts that we have. I have one guy who I know now because I've talked with him and he's done some stuff with us. Mike Lamb, he's a host in New York, and he was a developer. So he was working
A coder.
He was a coder. He was a coder full time, working for I guess Goldman Sachs, and started reading about dog training and fell in love with it and found DogVacay, and now he's just always full. And he charges, I think, $55 a night. And
Manhattan prices.
Manhattan prices. Manhattan, you can charge even more. And so he's.
What does Manhattan go for?
It depends. It depends
What's
because
the
there's
high
a
end
range.
in Manhattan? 100?
The high end would be probably 75 or 80 a night.
Is that the highest in anywhere in the world? Or
Yes,
San Francisco?
Manhattan's the most expensive.
Okay, so
sure.
even they're making $80 a night for a dog.
For one dog. And so you got 3 dogs, you're making
Bank.
okay money.
Yeah.
And so he's doing this full time. I've got another guy here in California who is a retiree. So he's retired. Now he's always full. He's watching 3 dogs at any given time. And he's making probably 70, 80 grand a year.
Wow.
And so, yes, those are some examples. But I'd say most of it, it's still kind of a little bit of fun and a little bit of money. So we have guys who are like busy professionals and they say, I'm only going to watch a dog on the weekends. So let me sign up to do that. Even 1 dog at a time, I'll just make a few $100 a month, and that's great extra cash. Stay-at-home moms, busy people, a lot of stay-at-home kind of work-from-home people like professional designers or photographers, artists.
When we get back from commercial break, I want you to share your secrets of growth hacking and how the chicken and egg of a marketplace, how you solve that problem. Because that's the biggest problem. You need to have both sides of the marketplace, and most marketplaces fail because they don't have buyers and sellers.
That's right.
I want to hear your secrets, Aaron, when we get back from this very important message. And it's from our friends at Desk.com, and so let's hear it. Hey everybody, it's Jason, and what a great episode we've had. My friend Layla from Desk.com is here with me, and as you know, they're a huge partner on the program. And I want to just talk to you a little bit about Desk. Are there any other myths or just common mistakes people make in service? Like, I mean, you must see everything, and you talk to people about this, like this is what you do all day, for 12 hours a day. So what are the other mistakes and myths?
I think one is that people think in order to have a quality support organization, they need to staff up crazy. Right, they need tons of people and they need tons of infrastructure.
Dedicated people.
Yeah, they need all this. I mean, the reality is in most companies, especially smaller ones, whole company support is the right way to do it. Like I have a good friend, he started a company called Get Feedback, right? Yeah. And small company, there's just a couple of them there and they are their own support team. The CEO is doing the support.
I like that.
Yeah, he has Desk on his phone. We're at a bar and he's giving me feature enhancements, of course, because that's life when your friends are running business. But he's on the phone answering tickets while we're in the bar. And so that idea of don't stress yourself out about the notion you have to create this huge organization.
Yeah, it's lightweight.
People are looking at support as a different vehicle than just, is your computer on or off?
It's a loyalty program in a way.
It's
a brand building process. And it's really, it's inspiring to talk to you about it because it really is when you see how people have transformed their businesses. And we get a lot of people on here. At the end of the day, people can knock your product off very easily. I mean, it's very easy to copy stuff, but you can't knock off like the love and concern that a company has for their actual customers. Like that's an intangible. Who do you think should be using Desk.com? who are the ideal clients that you guys have in the?
I think Desk makes a lot of sense for companies that need to get support up and running fast and want to make sure they're listening and engaging on every channel, right? Really, any small company that's looking for a way to deeply engage with who they're trying to sell to, whatever they're selling, that was my point, doesn't have to just be software.
And it's not that expensive, right?
No,
you guys
it's really
charge
not.
like a couple of dollars per seat.
It depends. I mean, there are three. There's one that's like around 50, one around 27-ish, and there's a starter for $3. But
we're talking about like you put it on your credit card, it's lunch or something.
I mean, yeah, absolutely.
It's like the cost of 2 pizzas.
Pretty much.
Right.
Pretty much.
If you can afford 2 pizzas for your Friday kegger, you can afford to have
There you go.
Desk.com.
There you go. There you go.
2 pizzas.
There you go.
You're in. All right, listen, this has been great, Layla. You're delightful.
Thank you very much,
Thank you for being
Jason.
super honest.
Appreciate it.
And by the way, we love using the product, and thank you for supporting the product. Hey, and thanks Desk.com for supporting independent media like This Week in Startups. We couldn't do it without you. And everybody go check out Desk.com/twist, TWIST, and thank @Desk on Twitter. All right, with me today, Aaron Hirschhorn of DogVacay. You can go check out DogVacay, D-O-G, obviously, VACAY.com. What a great brand name. I love it. And you've been running this for 2 years, raised over $20 million, and hundreds of thousands of nights stayed. You're going to get towards that million club. This is the toughest thing to do, is to create a marketplace. And so the question I had for you when we went to commercial break was, how do you get a marketplace to critical mass so that when I come to put Taurus and fondue in boarding, there's actually a large enough group of people, and the people who are taking the time to put up their profiles actually get somebody to bring a Taurus and fondue to be watched.
Those are great names.
Yeah.
It is the hardest part in the beginning, like you said. And so we viewed it as a local story. So I started in Santa Monica. How do I get hosts in Santa Monica? And
so not Los Angeles,
not
just
even Los
Santa
Angeles,
Monica.
just Santa Monica.
And you picked that because that's where you're
based.
Where
I lived.
And
that's where I lived. I lived in Santa Monica. So
you
easy,
know that market, yeah.
Easy-ish. It's never easy. So I just went to Yelp, Google, Craigslist, the dog parks, Whole Foods.
Wow.
And I just started talking to people.
Holy cow.
And I started calling people, and I said, I got this new concept. Because most of the people who are doing dog sitting already, they're just on their own. They're doing it through Craigslist and word of mouth, and they don't like paying anything up front. They hate paying subscription fees, advertising fees. Nobody likes that. So I said, new concept. You don't pay me anything. You sign up for free. I just take a portion of new business that we get you. Sign up for free, and started it that way. So the first, call it 400, 500 hosts, I talked to individually and individually recruited.
So just hustling at the dog parks, handing people stuff, and then finding people who are dog sitters already on other, non-dedicated
channels.
Exactly. Like
now,
Craigslist
ultimately,
or something.
It's evolved in an interesting way where most of our hosts are not professional dog sitters, and I can talk about that separately.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, those are the guys that we had.
Now, how do you get the people who want to so let's say you got a couple of hundred profiles up, or whatever. You talk to 500, you get 50. I don't know how many you get. You got to get more no's than yeses. Yeah. So you get to some number of hosts. Then how do you start feeding in and finding people who need a host?
Yeah. There's no easy answer, right? Yeah. Like in any business, it's
by traffic, or
demand is always harder than supply, I think, in marketplaces. So you got to start with supply anyway. And usually, if you're helping someone earn money, it's easier than trying to take money from them.
Right.
So supply, relatively easy in the grand scheme of things.
Right.
Our business has a couple challenges that I think a lot of other businesses don't. The first is timing. I cannot sell you dog boarding unless you are traveling. Period. It's not a pair of shoes, right? You can always buy another pair of shoes.
Right.
So I got to get the timing right. Or if not, I've got to get you talking about it over a long period of time. Second is trust. Not a pair of shoes again. If you don't like your pair of shoes, you send it back.
Right.
What's the worst that could happen? With dogs, you got to trust the person. You're dropping off a member of your family. And so that is really important. So demand side, super challenging. So we spent a lot of time thinking about the right time. So spring break, Memorial Day weekend, big weekend for us, July 4th. And yes, we'll buy demand into that. I think that's a huge part of it.
And where do you buy? You buy it on Facebook? You buy it on...
Facebook, AdWords, super expensive, probably doesn't scale until you're a big company anyway, but enough to get a little bit of momentum in the system.
So you look at those and you're paying what, like $1 a click, $2 a click, $3 a click?
You're paying like $3 a click on AdWords because you're competing with an individual pet sitter who takes the full lifetime value of spend of that customer, whereas us, we're taking 15 15%. That's our fee.
Got it. So if I was a dog sitter and I'm just like Jason's dog care, I'm getting $50 a night. So if I spend $3 a click and I land one every 10 people, I still have $20 in profit.
Yeah, well, that's just one night. Usually you're booking 4 or 5 nights,
so 3 nights.
You can afford to pay $3-4 a click.
Right. And then if you get one, you are only, if it's a 3-day stay, you're getting 15% of that. So you're only getting like $23.
Exactly. So our average stay is about $140, $150. So yeah, we're making $20, $25 on a single booking. Now we have a lot of lifetime value. The repeat rate is excellent. Word of mouth is excellent. So there's a lot of benefits to getting people in. But yeah, it's expensive. It's expensive.
So you look at that spend as brand building, and maybe it doesn't have perfect ROI.
It does not have like direct CPA ROI that you want to shout from the hilltops, but it does have an effect of building liquidity into the system. And then here's where the importance of the
when
product.
people say that word liquidity, what do they mean liquidity in the system? Because
you can't have 200 hosts who aren't getting any business. They're just going to stop paying attention. So you've got to get those people at least a booking or at least an inquiry to get started.
Got it.
Otherwise, the whole thing falls apart.
Got it.
So get 200 people, which is about what we had when I started trying to drive demand into it, and then get them business. We got to figure out a way to do it. Now, another big channel for us is actually PR. This is it's a unique, and 2 years ago probably a little more unique, but it's a unique story because it's a chance. It's dogs, it's travel, it's making money in a down economy. It's a startup. It's a lot of fun things.
Oh, making money in a down economy because you launched after the financial crisis.
Yeah, exactly.
When unemployment was
and
at
it was
10%.
our story. Like we literally were like making money doing this instead of having a job. So we worked with a PR firm early. I think that helped us a lot. Just build some initial awareness.
So did the PR company tell you like the sharing economy, like people need jobs angle, or did you figure that out yourself, or did you see Airbnb doing that and say, hey, we can just piggyback on that sort of theme?
Airbnb had just popped onto the scene. Like they had just, I think, announced that at the time was like a $100 million raise, and it was like, wow, this is an exciting space. So it was brand new. Sharing economy, yes. Making money, yes. And then dogs.
So who came up with the idea? You saw it there and just told the PR company. The PR company saw it and told you, or everybody? Was
we were all just talking about all these things. I can't say. I can't take credit for it.
Yeah.
Nor will I give them all the credit.
So your PR people start calling and saying like, hey, if people want to be able to hit their rent this month, if they lost their job and they've got $1,500 in rent, all they got to do is watch a couple of dogs.
All they got to do is watch a couple of dogs. And hey, by the way, travelers, pet owners, you can save money. Because our cost ends up being about half the price of the kennel. Oh, and a better experience. So you've got to get this message out.
That's actually why we're looking at it right now, because we were paying $120 a night for 2 bulldogs, and it looks like it's going to be $80 a night.
Okay.
Or something like that. So I'm like, 80 a night versus 120, I say 40 a night. But then I realized we're going to be away for 3 weeks, 20 days.
Yeah.
So it sort of becomes like a significant amount of money.
Now, by the way, you'll find that
it's $800.
The service has something called a custom quote. And if you talk to the host and you say, look, I'm staying for 3 weeks with 2 dogs, everyone's going to offer you a discount.
Oh, really? What do you think I should get for 2 bulldogs that take a little bit of work? They got a little medicine. You got to clean their eyes or folds. What would be the right price for that? You think I get in Los Angeles? Let me ask that question.
I think for 3 weeks, you're probably talking like $65 to $75.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
So you can negotiate a little bit.
Yeah,
and you shouldn't feel bad about negotiating because they want the steady business.
They like the business, and the reality is, so we watch so many dogs, and what I found is the first day is the hardest. New dog, new environment, getting the lay of the land. That's when he's most likely to pee on the couch. You know? After the day 2, day 3, it's easy. Everyone's a happy pack. Everyone's playing around. So usually you find for longer stays, people are happy to give discounts.
When do you know it's time to expand out of your, very finite geographic location? So you build that liquidity by buying some traffic. You hustle your way to get those 200 people on. At what point did you know, okay, we should do all of the West Side or we should do all of Los Angeles? What point did you just say, hey, let's
we said it relatively early, and here's why. And I think different businesses will be other. So let me take a separate example. You look at Uber, for example, and you're in Uber. You need a certain.
Can we just do a graphic? Like whenever somebody mentions the word Uber, can you just like do a smashing high five of like the greatest moment of my life investing in Uber? Just like a sick high five. Like, it'd be great is me high fiving Travis in like an infographic or something. Just like woo. Okay, keep going.
So for Uber, you need a certain baseline of liquidity. Like 2 cars won't cut it, right? You need a lot of cars.
Yeah.
Now, in our model, it's a little bit different. I don't need 500 dog sitters. I need at least 1 or 2 that are in your area that are good. And so what we found is it was relatively easy for us to get supply, especially once we had launched and the word was out, relatively easy to get supply. And we didn't need a ton of liquidity, so we essentially opened up the market. And we said, anybody can sign up anywhere. Let's see what happens.
Got it. What happened?
Well, what happened is it's growing. I mean, it's working, and people are...
How many markets now?
We're in over 3,000 cities.
Wow.
Yeah, and so definitely like Los Angeles, New York, San Francisco, those are our bigger markets.
Right.
But we have hosts in Cincinnati and Poughkeepsie.
So you don't worry that like you don't have full liquidity in every market. You're like, it's better to have the open marketplace and let people sign up and it will work itself out.
I think
at this point,
I think there's a point to which that works really well. Now we're starting to think about how we look at local markets and understand getting them to a tipping point as well. And there are certain markets of ours that are large enough that are there, but others where we want to do that by focusing on a local geo.
Yeah. All right. So when we get when we get back from our break here, I want you to tell me, how do you do that? How do you own a city, right? Like, because that's what I think. Speaking of Uber, that they did particularly well is like, hey, when we decide we're going to do Chicago, we're going to do Chicago.
Yeah.
When we get back from this very important message, hey, Sharefile is designed for business. We use Sharefile here at This Week in Startups and launch to communicate with all of our partners, advertisers, and with our clients. It's absolutely critical to our workflow. And it's a cloud system that you can trust to send your files securely, even the most sensitive documents like IP, contracts, term sheets. I'm starting to get a lot of my angel investing going through Sharefile for that very reason. And you can send them as secure links with Sharefile, almost any size file as well. And you can access these files from any computer or mobile device. So you can request a file and it gets uploaded to a specific folder. So I can say to an angel investment, hey, or Bryce can say to them, hey, we're requesting the term sheet, and then they upload it somewhere nice and secure. We can get email alerts when they actually do send the term sheet or the finished documents when they're signed and all that kind of stuff. We can control who has access to it and the levels of permission. This is critical. And you can share these huge, large video clips. And we have a special offer. Go to sharefile.com and click on the radio microphone button. Yes, go to sharefile.com, click on the radio microphone button, and use the offer code TWIST, TWIST. No credit card is required. 30-day free trial, and you can get the exclusive top 10 questions answered by the world's most important, powerful investors. Yes, that includes David Cohen, Joanne Wilson, Dave McClure, Steve Jurvetson, Brad Feld, Mark Suster, and more. Sign up for Sharefile, use the offer code TWIST, TWIST, and then send a request a file link to sharefile@launch.co. That's right. Just send a request a file link to sharefile@launch.co, and we will send you this all new video. And it's only for our fans who are using Sharefile at Citrix, which is a great company, by the way, and they make a ton of great products. But this one is particularly awesome, especially if you have important entrepreneur files or VC files and things that you need to make sure you know who's accessing and getting those alerts, and very granular file level controls on them. So it's a really wicked product, and I mean that in the best way. Thanks again at Sharefile. And if you're a fan of the show, just go ahead and thank at Sharefile on your Twitter account for making independent media like This Week in Startups free and sustainable. All right, when we left our hero, Aaron Hirschhorn, the founder and chief dog at DogVacay.com, he was telling us about building out Santa Monica and then opening up the platform. What's the strategy for owning a market? Like, do you guys now have a book? Like, hey, here's the playbook, and because that's what it seems like. And I don't know all the details of how Uber does it, just casually from watching them. But it seems like they hire somebody to run Chicago, or they hire somebody to run, whatever it is, Brazil. And that person has a book and a game plan for how to own the city. And it seems to include like a celebrity taking the first ride every time and getting press around that and, all kinds of stuff. Yeah. So do you have that playbook yet? Are you developing that?
We're developing the playbook now.
What's in the playbook? So what are the first 3 or 4 things that you need to do when you go to Chicago to own it?
Yeah, so we're 2 years old.
Yeah.
14 in dog years, so maybe we're a little more experienced. But yeah, we're working on the playbook. Look, you need supply, and you got to figure out a cost-effective way to get supply. Mm-hmm. And then you need to generate awareness, especially because of the things around timing and trust. You need to generate awareness, and you got to get people using the system. And so, I mean, without going into the details of the playbook, because honestly, we're still working on it now, I think those are going to be the keys for any marketplace style business that you have.
Do people use this for like daycare?
Yeah.
Because that seems to be like, I was looking at it as like the name sort of, implies like, hey, you're going away on vacation and you have that downtime. But what about daycare? Because I know in New York, like doggy daycare is a huge business. Is that going to be a business for you too?
If you look at the pet space, total spend in the U.S. on pets is $60 billion.
Yeah, but a lot of that's food, right?
$20 billion is food. $17 billion is veterinary care. There's a bunch of retail toys, stuff like that.
Chewable toys.
But pet services, and that's boarding, grooming, daycare, training, walking.
That's a
$11 billion market. $11 billion, and nobody has even a percentage of market share.
Wow.
Wide open. The most fragmented part of a rapidly growing market because people are spending more on their pets, all the stuff that you know.
So do people use it right now for pet sitting?
So yeah, people use it primarily for in-home dog boarding. You drop off your dog at someone's house. But we have people who will come to your home. We have people who offer walking, daycare, and training. So as the platform grows, we're productizing these things and trying to make them better. But they're using the platform as is for that now.
Now,
what a massive opportunity.
One of the things, that I find really important when I have people who I've used to watch Taurus and Fondue is to have them sending me pictures and videos on a regular basis. Is that something that people just do on their own? Are you productizing that, or is there a best practice around it? Because that to me seems like a huge opportunity that if I knew that I could link to a drop cam of my dogs in the backyard, or I could get a short video and picture every day as part of the package, that would mean a lot to me.
It's part of the package, and we've productized it. So as part of your dog's vacay, you get daily photo and video updates.
Really?
And you get that either through email or through our app. So we have a mobile app.
Really? The mobile app is client end?
Yes, both. You should be on the mobile app. Easier to send messages. You get your photo updates and videos with captions.
Like a stream of here's my dog's life.
And everything that you said. Drop cam. Well, drop cam is one thing. I mean, you're putting a drop cam in someone else's house, so there are some challenges there. But we are working with a couple great companies. One of them is called Whistle. They're up in the Bay Area. They have essentially a Fitbit for dogs.
I know about that. Yeah.
So now you see not only where your dog is on a map with GPS,
but how about they moved?
How much activity they got by the minute. So my dog had 47 minutes of activity, or hey, why does my dog only have 2 minutes of activity?
Which is important when you have a golden retriever. On 100%. A
bulldog, 3 minutes of activity is great. You're like, okay, active day.
Yeah, active is walking outside to take a piss and coming back.
But you see all that, and then tying that together into a full photo stream. So really giving you complete visibility about your dog's experience. And really the vacay is your dog's vacay. Your dog's on vacation right now. Whether you're traveling for business, you're traveling for pleasure, your dog's enjoying his time.
So you make an average of $20 on a stay or something to that effect. Yeah. And you've done hundreds of thousands of these. So it doesn't take a genius to say, hey, maybe you guys are making millions of dollars a year already. Yeah. What does it take to scale this business past what I call a dude business, a couple of $1 million a year, which is hey, a dude or dudette, has made a decent thing, to get this to let's say tens of millions or hundreds of millions a year. Can you get it there, and
100%,
how?
100%. I mean, so fundamentally, the kennels are limited by all the real estate that we've talked about. And actually our biggest competition is not the kennel, it's friends and family. Most people use their brother, their mom, their neighbor, their friend.
That's what I'm doing. I'm hustling right now to say, who wants to stay in my pool house for July to watch the dog? So your biggest competitor right now is a friend of mine possibly wanting to stay in LA for the month and watch the dog.
That's a pretty good offer. So you're giving people a pool house and some other stuff.
Well, I was also going to give them $1,000 in spending cash too.
All right. Well, that's a pretty sweet offer.
Yeah.
In my experience, I didn't have a pool house and $1,000.
Exactly.
So I was hustling. I'm like, hey, I'll watch your dogs. I'll take you out to dinner. I'll watch your kid later.
It's just not scalable.
Trading favorite doesn't scale.
Right.
So we actually think the market is dramatically bigger than even the current spend, because people don't like doing that. And if you have an opportunity to pay, say, $20 or $25 a night and get GPS dog collar with photo and video updates and insurance and 24/7 customer care, all the things that we provide, we're expanding the market.
You're not leaning on your friends and family to do this. It's just easier, plug and play.
And like Uber, again, you have virtual high five. We see usage frequency growing once someone's in. People use it for daycare. They say, "Hey, sweetie, we can go away for the weekend now."
Yeah,
let me
last
just
minute.
Two clicks on the app, and I've booked a spot for my dog. So that's the opportunity. And in terms of market share, like I said, even the biggest players have very little share here, and we're not limited by real estate.
I really find fascinating about the sharing space, and I'm really an idiot because I should have invested in your company, and it's just this show is becoming a parade of my stupidity. It literally is.
You've made some good decisions as well. So.
I know, but you know what the problem with being a fucking angel investor? I'm sorry, somebody can put a beep in there. It's the absolute, reflection of how stupid you are. Because you pitched me on this. And I told you, I think it's going to work. And for some reason, I didn't write a check because you can't. It's only so many things you can work on. And it was so obvious to me that this would probably work. But the big mistake is about these marketplaces is when you analyze them against the current market.
Right.
The truth is, what people didn't realize about your market is that you're not up against kennels. Right. You're up against people's, using their friends, or people taking more vacation because they don't have to take their dogs, which is exactly what Airbnb experienced, which was they're not competing with hotels.
Yeah.
They're generating more demand because people who couldn't afford hotels are going to go on more vacations or take 5 extra days. Like producer Gina told me she's taking all this time off to go to Japan. She told me her trip was twice the length because the cost was half the price. And she's crazy. She was booking. She only had her first 3 days booked on Airbnb, producer Gina.
And just showed up?
Yeah, she's like, I'll just go to Japan. I'll produce like the first 3 days and then boom, I'll just do the rest.
That's awesome.
But that's Uber too, because Uber was competing not against taxis. It was in one way. It's competing in San Francisco and other cities against
cars.
Car
Buses.
ownership.
Yeah.
Car ownership.
Yeah.
People are not owning cars. So the market is huge. You've gotten DAG Ventures, which tends to follow on to deals that major VCs like Sequoia do. You got Baroda, which is David Bonnet's famous GeoCities guy. And you got first round and Andreessen Horowitz and Brian Lee, which I assume is the Brian Lee.
Yeah.
Which Brian Lee is it? Brian Lee from
not
Shoe
Lee,
Dazzle.
Honest Company, yeah.
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 You got the best investors in the world. How did you get them?
Well, you left out Benchmark, so I've got
You got Bill Gurley?
Yeah, Bill Gurley's on our board.
No.
Yeah, so
Bill Gurley's the ultimate marketplace guy.
Yeah, he's the guy.
When did he come into the business?
He led the A round.
Oh, he led the A round.
Yeah, he led
So he
the
just
A.
understood, like, hey, it's a marketplace.
He's like, I get it.
Yeah,
Dogs.
it's gonna work.
I get it. Yeah. And part of it, look, when I was pitching you and some other guys, there were people who got it and there were people who were like, oh, it's really cute, but this is dog sitting, I'm a real venture capitalist.
Yeah, that was kind of my thing. I was like,
I get it. Yeah, it's cute. But look, there's 78 million dogs in the U.S. That's more than there are kids. This is a massive market.
Why did you tell me that?
So
that's a good stat.
So Gurley got it. He's like, I get it. Let's go. And it's been a great ride. He's fantastic.
So what's the role of like a world-class VC like that when you get them on your board? Is it like intimidating to go to the board meeting the first time and like show them a deck and be like, oh my God, this is the guy who did eBay and Uber?
Yeah, and he's also 6'9", so it doesn't make it.
Yeah, the guy is huge. He can dunk, whatever. But putting that aside, he's also like the smartest guy in the room in most rooms. Right? He's a pretty brilliant guy. Why hasn't Bill Gurley? Why have you not been on the show? Somebody clip this, and this is a message to Bill Gurley: like, good enough to come to my poker game, but not on the show. WTF? Come on, Bill. But what's it like that first board meeting and Bill Gurley, 7'12", Bill Gurley sitting there, and you're going to show him a deck, and he's been like in the eBay board meetings, or
and I've got lots of like puppy memes in my deck. So yeah.
What's that like? How do you deal with that?
In retrospect, I probably was a little bit of a blur. But he's actually really open and warm and welcoming and has a lot of great insight. So I just rolled with the punches and we just kept building the business. And
what kind of value does somebody like that add? I mean, aside from the name, where it's like, okay, we're completely validated now.
Yeah, the name helps, and then DAG will invest in some others like that. But ultimately, it's pattern recognition, and it's pattern recognition not just across the businesses like Uber, Zillow, Grubhub, all these businesses that are supply demand based. But it's about company at your stage is going to experience or likely to experience this set of challenges, and here's how you get ahead of that.
So give me a specific example. What's something like Bill pointed out?
Like he's right now I'm the head of finance at the company, which doesn't scale, and I'm spending time doing HR and legal and finance. And it was a year and a half ago. He's like, you need to actually get that off your plate and start hiring that. Or
a year and a half ago, he said that to you.
Yeah,
you still haven't.
Yeah, I'm working on it. if you know anybody,
but you raised all that money and you still haven't. So he's just like, okay, now we're 6 board meetings later.
Yeah, so now you're true, Bill. You're right about that.
Yeah,
it's a need that I have.
So they can give you good advice.
But also like specifically to the dynamics of, hey, like your net promoter score relative to these others means that this avenue is open to you. So we have an incurably high net promoter score. It's
Explain to the audience who doesn't know what a net promoter score is.
Net promoter score, or NPS, is a measure of the virality of your product, the likelihood of people to talk about your product.
Okay. How do you execute an NP?
It's a single question, 0 to 10. How likely are you to recommend XYZ service to a friend or colleague?
How likely are you to refer DogVacay, Uber, eBay to a friend?
Right. That's it. And people score 0 through 10. You take the 10s and 9s and you subtract the 0s through 6s and you average it out. And ours is above 90, which is unheard of. Apple's is 70, low 70s.
Wow.
I don't know where some of these other companies are, but
yeah, no, Virgin America is like another
top
one.
brand, mid-70s.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we're looking at a product that, because it solves a real problem, it's so emotional with your photos and videos of your dogs, people talk about it. They talk about it. So what does that mean? That means we can actually either spend disproportionately to acquire that first customer, because we know that they're going to tell their friends. So the direct single customer ROI will be a different calculus. It means the importance of building a local area liquidity, because word of mouth is still largely local. And how do we focus on single area? So anyway, a lot of things like that are insights to bear across these companies. Bill, for example, is a huge fan of PR, and he believes in spending on PR and productizing PR. So in our case, how do we productize PR? We have great stories.
What does that mean, productize PR?
Okay,
Explain that.
So PR, here's how you do PR. You go out, you hire an agency, you do it in-house, you tell people to write about you, and you have to come up with some interesting story. And when you launch, it's easy because, hey, we're a new concept.
It's new, that's a great hook.
And Uber's, use that as an example. Again, you have a celebrity in the car, that's the hook.
Yeah.
We have thousands and thousands of individual hosts with crazy stories, unique stories, able to stay in my house because of the money I'm making on DogVacay, or I was deployed for 4 months in Afghanistan, didn't know what to do with my dog, and someone washed it for $5 a night because they support the military. We take these individual stories and we bring them to the right people in the right area. So local press in Chattanooga, Tennessee, local stories there. So that's a lot of what we spend our time doing, is how do we uncover the really great stories in our community and share it. And it actually takes a lot of work. Zillow's a great example. They have an internal 14-person PR team. They take all the data that they have and they turn it into stories. Housing prices in this neighborhood do X, Y, Z, or the trends here. So how do we take data and emotional stories and turn that into awareness?
See, that's the best part of this interview. People wonder why I do the show. Like, productizing PR, like I've now actually learned something, like doing the show, like, and it's got me thinking about inside.com, like, hey, how do I do that?
Right.
So let's keep going and unpacking productized PR. The best example you found is finding the local person on DogVacay who's making a living, and then you target the local yokel, Poughkeepsie Times.
It's not just the person making the living, but also any of those experiences. So somebody with a special, like we have, for example, we had someone with a 16-year-old dog with like late-stage cancer, and PetSmart won't take the dog, and she can't go to her friend's wedding.
Ooh, so there's a little bit like I would be irate about that.
Yeah, so but we can do that. We have a retired vet tech who's like, I'll watch your dog. I can give the injectable medications. I'll give you constant updates.
Wow.
Go to the wedding, enjoy. And so that's a great story about that person that we can share.
It's also a good HuffPo or like Wall Street Journal feature
exactly.
or something.
Plus, you can do the fun stuff like BuzzFeed, clickable, fun pet images, but we try to do something even more resonant than that.
And some people would say, like, well, why does the Poughkeepsie, or whatever, or Toledo Times matter? Like, they have such small circ. Why do they matter?
This is a hyper-local business. At the end of the day, you are finding a host within a few blocks of your house, and maybe in LA, a couple miles. So it's about local awareness.
And do you look at the cost breakdown of the clips and say, hey, we got 17 clips this month. We spend $200,000 a year, so we're spending $15,000 a month. So each clip is net on $2,000. You take is that what productized PR is? Like taking a scientific approach to it?
I don't think. I think you have to be okay with the fact that you don't really know. And business is going to grow based on awareness, and you're never going to be able to track it. So we have a piece on the local news in Atlanta. We'll get a bunch of traffic from Atlanta. There's no way to know that most of those visitors won't convert on the first visit because they don't need dog boarding in that exact moment.
Oh, you're right. Back to your when am I selling
Maybe
them?
we can capture their email and remarket to them. Maybe we can retarget them. So there are some things we can do with that. But at the end of the day, it's like we just want to build awareness, and because we believe the product's awesome, that it will work itself out in the long run. And PR spend relative to like true paid channels like TV, radio, even AdWords, it pales in comparison. It's a more cost-effective channel.
What about, this is classic brand building, right?
It's brand building.
Classic brand building. What about retargeting? You mentioned that, and you guys spend a little bit of money. Like, how much do you guys spend as a percentage of your total spend every year, or total revenue? Like, do you have a number in your MBA mind? Like, we should spend 5% on buying traffic,
right.
10%. What should a startup at your phase spend on acquiring traffic?
I think it completely depends on the nature of the business.
Okay,
so
this business.
Yeah, so in this business, it's different. Like most of our growth, over 90% of our customers come from free channels. It comes from organic search, from word of mouth, from the PR. So we don't spend a lot of money on marketing.
Gotcha.
So it's part of both our belief system and the fact that we think it doesn't do as well as things where you hear about it from a friend, a trusted source, whatever.
Is there a way to goose word of mouth?
Yeah, I mean, look, so everyone and their mom now has these referral programs, like give 10, get 10, give 20. We've actually found that the monetary incentive is not a big push. Like, you're not sharing this with your friend to save $10 on dog boarding. I think it works for some shopping sites pretty well, where there's more of a real currency.
Got it.
This you're sharing because you want to help. You want to share your experience.
So the affiliate thing doesn't work so well?
It's a mechanism that enables people to more easily do something that they would do otherwise.
So it's sort of reminding them, like, hey, you should tell your friends.
You should tell your friends, do this. And, hey, we like to pay it forward, so give your friend a discount on this thing.
Which works better, giving your friend a discount or getting the discount yourself?
Giving your friend a discount.
That's super interesting.
And we've also tried to give money to charity. So, like,
does that work or no?
Share with a friend, save a puppy. That unfortunately doesn't seem to work as well.
So all those puppies die. I'm just joking.
They'll live because we'll help them another way.
Use DogVacay or we will kill these 2 puppies. Somebody was doing, it was pretty funny and demented and sick, but somebody did something like on Reddit or something where they're like, if this doesn't get 10,000 likes, this puppy will die. Oh, God. And like, all these like biddies from like, like your grandma or your aunt who has to email this to everybody.
Right.
Like they all start emailing like, this person's it's wrong and they're going to kill this puppy and we all need to like it. And she's like, oh, grandma. Oh, yeah, Betsy.
That's kind of off brand for us.
It's a little hostage situation. So what about retargeting? Because that's fascinating.
Yeah, we honestly max out our retargeting budget. We think we're hard to measure, and the retargeting guys will always try to sell you on this view through conversion. Where
explain what retargeting is.
Retargeting
again, for the audience that doesn't know.
So you visit our website, you visit DogVacay.com, and then ever since then you should be followed by ads across the web. Whether you visit New York Times or anything, you'll see DogVacay ads reminding you, don't leave your dog in a kennel, or traveling in a couple weeks, use us.
So you know that they visited your site because of a cookie.
That's right.
And now anywhere on the web they go, the ads change from the Audi ad on the New York Times or the Audi ad on Gawker to a DogVacay ad.
Yeah. And you can also retarget on Facebook. So people who visited the website, we can retarget them on Facebook as well.
So if they came to your website, even if they didn't hit like or log in with Facebook, because the Facebook like button's on there or something.
That's right, yeah. Between Facebook Connect and email addresses, there's ways to do that as well.
And then you follow them and creep them out on Facebook. But
we like to think of it as entertaining them with fun ads.
Yeah, I mean, that's the downside of retargeting is that it's creepy. But the upside, some people see it as value. Like
my mom will email me and say, "Oh my God, I just saw your ad on NewYorkTimes.com," and I'm like,
"You're like, oh mom, oh mom." But now, what do you have to do to preempt the New York Times Audi campaign that costs $35?
You can. I mean, they have a portion of the inventory, either long tail or remnant, that they'll dedicate toward retargeting, and it depends on the budget. You don't really have a lot of control over it. So the retargeting companies like AdRoll and Retargeter, they have negotiated deals with all these companies or the networks themselves to put those ads on. This is not a big part of our business.
Right.
This is what we view. I almost put it in the baseline, like anything we can do to keep reminding people so that when they actually need the service, they come back, we'll do it. And that's not a lot of money.
So you went to the Science Accelerator.
Yeah.
How was that? What was that experience like for you?
Fantastic experience. So
explain what it is and how it works.
I started the business, and just background, I went to business school. I don't know jack about building a website or a mobile app or design or marketing.
But you obviously know business. And you worked at the Monitor Group before that. So you obviously have business.
I had some business sense, and I love dogs, and I understood that quality was going to be the key to making this business work. So I had that baseline, but didn't know anything else. And early on, when it was just an idea, and I'd try to pitch it to co-founders or developers, it would be, that's cute, but I don't really want to work for you for $10,000 a year to fund this business. So.
Got it. So then they find out about the business? Or you find out about Science? How did you meet those guys?
I got connected to Mike Jones through the network, a couple mutual connections, pitched it to Mike Jones and Peter Pham, and they got it. Yeah. They got it. Mike's got dogs. Peter Pham doesn't like dogs, but I think he still gets it.
Yeah.
And they brought us in. They said, "Look, we'll help you launch the site." And we work with their developers, their UX guys, their designers. We got the site out really quickly. So we got an MVP out in probably 7 weeks.
That's a huge jump.
It would have taken me months to kind of build the team and figure it out.
It's a couple $100,000 in value in 6 months of your life.
Yeah, exactly. So we got it, and obviously gave them some equity, but they invested some dollars to help us raise a seed round. So we got out of the gate really fast.
So would you compare it to Y Combinator, where where you get like $125K for 6%, or how does it work exactly? Like mechanically, how does it work?
They're different in the sense that like Y Combinator, Launchpad, Amplify, these are classes, and there's a set amount of money for a set equity and a set start and end time. Science has a different model where they'll take anybody at any time if it's a good fit, and everyone's got different deals.
Gotcha.
So I won't discuss the specifics of my deal with them, but certainly tremendous value. And in addition to helping with fundraising and strategy and everything tech-wise, we came out in a great place.
So it's sort of like, so you would recommend it to other entrepreneurs?
I would, absolutely.
Who's it best for?
I mean,
if you put it next to Y Combinator and you got like 2 kids out of Stanford, should they go to Science or Y Combinator? Who should go to which one?
It depends. It depends on the deal you can negotiate. I think ultimately, if you are a great tech guy and a great UX guy, but you don't have a network and don't know how to fundraise, Science might help you, but Y Combinator is also going to help you a ton.
Yeah, Y Combinator's got the bigger network.
Yeah, you get 150 grand automatically when you leave or whatever it is.
Yeah, well, now it's 125 going in. So they have the networking advantage. So what's the advantage for Science then?
I think you're going to get people who are more hands-on with your business at the right stage. So again, I didn't know that to build a web page you had to actually like do wireframes.
Yeah.
Turns out that's kind of important. Right. So add some wireframes, build a design, hook it up. Like these are things that the mechanics of which I needed the guidance. And now I know enough to be dangerous.
Good.
And I've got a 12-person engineering team, and we're cranking, But at the time, so much value for
And they do a smaller number of companies, obviously. They're not doing 60, so you're going to get much more like hands-on.
Yeah, and their model has evolved too, and they now have like a media, a customer acquisition business within their company.
What's that called?
They have media. I don't know what they call it, but they have media buyers. So they buy Facebook, Twitter.
See, that's what I heard is like the killer reason to go to Science. Obviously, I got a lot of friends over there, so like I'm not shilling for them, even though like Jason Rapp and Peter Pham and Mike Jones are all good friends of mine. But they really know how to acquire customers and get these businesses
100%
off the ground fast.
Especially e-commerce, commerce.
Dollar Shave Club. I was an investor in Whittleby, rest in peace. But they seem to get that like whole commerce thing, which you are part of, and marketplace.
Part of, although I will say in our case, because of the trust and timing challenges, it's not so cut and dry, and we need to work a lot harder. The value that they added for us was most of those other things, just getting this thing off the ground quickly and making quick and smart decisions.
What's the outcome for this business? Because being an investor in something like Uber, or people said like there's no potential buyer for Uber because it doesn't fit a mold.
Right.
You don't fit a mold.
That's right.
Is there a buyer for this business that you can think of? Is there a category of people who are sweating you and want to invest? Like, do the Petcos of the world want to own a piece of this?
Yeah, so, I mean, pet services being the large market that it is and completely fragmented, there are pet care companies who are potentially interested. So PetSmart, Petco, even the veterinary chains like VCA, maybe in a world. Yeah. There may also be a world where there's some marketplace consolidators like Amazon, eBay, Airbnb. Not a crazy concept as well.
Oh, so if you think Airbnb should start buying up like all the little get-around car companies and everything and making one big sort of, crowd sharing consumer.
I mean, look, they've still plenty of runway, and they're already, I think, moving into more of a platform model where they'll help you get to and from the airport and clean your house and offer some of these
do a lot of that other stuff.
Related travel services. So it may fit. I mean, I'm huge fans of what they're doing as well.
Yeah, that would be the natural acquirer.
But I mean, the way I think about our business is it's not, at its core, most of what we do is dog boarding. People are leaving their dog in someone's home. But this is really a pet care company that leverages a marketplace model to fulfill its services, but we're branding it. Yeah. We have the best insurance policy in the industry. We're taking care of we are owning it and taking care of your dog. Yeah. So as we go into other things, I think there's a big pet wellness opportunity, integrating with tracking data around your pet's health and vets and high quality foods. So I think there's a bigger pet story here, and we're building this to be a standalone business.
Speaking of PR, we've talked about all the upside to it. There's a downside, obviously. Yeah. You're taking care of people's dogs and hundreds of thousands of stays. Yeah. A dog must have died at some point, I'm guessing.
We have.
Has a dog died in your care yet?
So I said, look, this is such a tough question because it's obvious like dogs are like my family, and I love pets. But we've watched so many dogs that it's absolutely inevitable. So for example, like the elderly dog story I gave you, we did have like an elderly dog die under our
it has to happen, right?
And you take so many dogs and things are going to happen no matter what. But
how do you deal with that on a PR basis?
So what we do is we just support the customers. So this was an example where the host and the guests were in close contact with us, and we helped fund. We paid for the cremation. The entire company had a moment of silence. We sent flowers and cards. We helped them adopt a new dog. dog.
Oh, wow.
I just
so
think
you just went way overboard.
We just own it. I wouldn't even call that overboard. I call that like what the responsibility of a company in this space needs to do to grow. Like
That's an incredible way to tell you, but I can tell you that a dog boarder would do none of that.
That's right. And
so I think that it's exemplary that you did do that.
Thank you.
And then what was the reaction of the client? And
they were honestly gracious.
Yeah,
really nobody blamed us.
Yeah.
But it was on our watch, so to speak.
Yeah.
And because it's on our watch, I take responsibility for it.
Yeah. So do you have like a PR? Because now Airbnb.
Yeah.
They have to deal with this issue in a major way with the sex party that occurred, the tweakers who destroyed.
And we haven't had any dog sex parties yet.
Exactly, thankfully. But you did have like the sex party, and you have the tweakers.
House,
they destroyed
the meth
people
house
destroyed the house.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about millions of stays probably. So right now, at the Hyatt on Sunset, there's probably 5 meth parties going on right now. So, at hotels.
It's just part of the business.
and probably 12 sex parties. Pretty much the purpose of hotels in Los Angeles, I think. So they've have like a whole playbook to deal with that.
Yeah.
Are you actually thinking about that? Like, hey, we have to like have a best practice and a way to deal with this? And
but honestly, it's less about the PR. It's about how do we actually responsibly handle
that's
these
what I'm talking
situations.
about.
So I have a 24/7 trust and safety team. And so while the incidents are rare, what is more common is dog gets stung by a bee. Dog eats something that he shouldn't have eaten.
Oh, and they're going to the emergency room.
They're going to the vet. Wow. And so we handle it. So we cover the vet bills as part of our policy. As long as you book online, your dog has $25,000 of coverage.
Oh, that's fantastic.
We facilitate the transfer to the vet. We deal with all the bills. Nothing touches your card, your credit card.
Yeah.
So we're set up to handle that 24/7.
And then what do you train the person watching it to do? Like, okay, call you immediately.
Call us,
And do you train them like, hey, if something happens, just take them to the emergency room. It's covered.
But we tell them to call us right away.
Yeah.
And then we walk them through. So 24/7 phone number 855 DogVacay. Call us.
Yeah.
We're there to walk you through.
See, this is what I did with all my dog care because I had a bulldog die of a heart attack. It's like really hard. That's typically what happens. They have breathing problems.
Right.
So my last bulldog dies of a heart attack. When I get the next 2, we have like in our house, this is where the emergency room is. Take this card.
Right.
So if somebody's watching it, we have those cards in the house. Take the card. Here's the most direct route.
Right.
Get in the car and take them to this emergency room, which is the closest.
Yeah.
And then I did the same thing for my daughter who's allergic to bee stings. Here's where the bee sting kit is. Here's how to get to the hospital. Like really like
same thing. And the next version of our app is coming out in a couple of weeks. You'll actually see all the 24/7 vet hospitals near you, get you directions to it.
I think that's where you can
Again, it's very rare, but the more we scale, the more dogs we watch, the more common it becomes.
But just now I'm thinking about like where I'm going to put my dogs this summer, and just by talking to you about like the standardization that you can do, you can level up the experience and the trust to a level that can't exist in the fragmented market. You can really like in the same way Uber, like the whole concept of losing your phone in an Uber goes away because they have trained those drivers. Like, listen, if there is a phone left in this car, it is getting back to the person. You are taking it back to the person. And here is how to find out on the web who your last driver was and call them and get your phone. And I have had 2 or 3 instances where a phone has been left in the car.
Interesting.
I'm not saying my wife loses her phone that often. Sweetie, really? 3 times a day? But like literally, they come back and they refuse to take money in returning the phone. And I have to like throw a $20 bill in the cab window and say, let me buy you lunch because I feel so bad about it. This is where I think you can do so much with that exercise collar and the cameras and the photos.
That's where it all comes together because now we've got a network of thousands of like trusted, knowledgeable pet care providers across the country.
So 5-10 years from now, if you keep doing this right, what does it look like? What does the business look like?
This is a global pet care company.
You can go global.
Yeah, absolutely. Now there aren't cross-border network effects like there are with say an Airbnb because it's a hyper-local business.
You can't take your dog in the airplanes anyway.
Yeah. But the model works. Yeah. It works in other countries, and the trends of pet ownership and spending on pets and delaying childbirth and all that, it's happening everywhere. It's not just happening. It's happening in China. It's happening in Brazil.
Sure.
So there's a massive global opportunity, and the more.
Have you gone outside the U.S.?
Canada.
Yeah, that counts.
Yeah. Canadian.
And so, what's the next one?
That was weird.
When you look outside it, how do you assess a market? Like, do you just think, well, let's just go to the English-speaking ones because it'll be easier on our team? So we go Ireland.
Yeah. You look at number of dogs.
Australia.
You look at number of dogs. You look at amount of travel so European countries all of Europe has travel a lot because they actually have vacation days.
But they're allowed to take their dogs a lot of places, so there's a mitigating factor there.
But it's the same challenge. No one likes putting their dog in a kennel. Kennels are expensive.
Yeah.
So you look at that language is an issue. You look at number of dogs. You look at frequency.
So
of
the
travel.
UK is the next layup.
UK is an easy one.
Yeah.
UK is an easy reason one. But we're still focused on the U.S. and Canada right now because the opportunity here is massive. And
can this be a $100 million business?
This can be a $10 billion business.
In terms of revenue, can it be a $100 million business?
Easily. In boarding alone, if you look at just boarding and dog sitting, $10 billion market, 10% share of that is a $1 billion
You think you can get to that, yeah?
Yes. It's a $1 billion
and you'll get
GMV
15%
business.
of that. It's pretty amazing.
Well, it'll be 20% by the time we layer in some additional value-add services.
Do people try to
But that's a $200 million revenue business with very high EBITDA margins.
Yeah, it's 80% margin. Yeah. So you'll get at least 30x that. So you'll be a $6 billion company, which will just make me feel even more stupid for not investing at a $5 or $10 million valuation or whatever it was at the beginning. Listen, this is amazing, and I wish you great success with it.
Thank you.
I have a million other questions, but I think the best thing to say is I'm going to be using DogVacay this summer, even if I have other options, because I kind of just feel like you're going to, just like you could get in, I can afford to take, I used to have the Lincoln Town Car service where they hold your name up and all this bullshit. And I'm just like, you know what? I just canceled all that stuff years ago because I was like, even if though you're spending double or 50% more on those services, I have a better experience in an UberX for $40 from the airport than I did in the Carry $150. They know how to pronounce your last name. They come pick up your bags. It's a worse experience.
I'm with you.
This is a better experience. All right, listen, thanks so much, Aaron. And you can follow DogVacay on Twitter, DogVacay. And you can follow Aaron. It's Aaron, WH, dogvacay.com. Rates starting at just $25 a night. All reservations include free pet insurance, 24-hour customer support, and daily photo updates. Look at that. It's like an ad. I read everything like it's an ad. And if you want to be on the secret email list, go to twistlist.co. If you made it to this far in the episode, twistlist.co. Don't tell anybody about it, but that's the secret back channel. Thanks again, producer Gina, Emily, Jade, Jacob, Andrew, Luke, Brandon, DeMont, everybody doing just such a great job. And thanks so much to the inside team doing a great job. I don't get a shout out to Adam and Chris and Jamie and Ben and everybody over there, Blake, just doing such a great job. Mark, Allison, thank you so much. It's just great to have such awesome people on my team helping grow my companies. And thank you, of course, to Sharefile by Citrix and our friends at Desk.com, which is just an awesome product for doing customer support. You guys use Desk.com, or do you build your own support system built in?
We use Desk.com.
You really do?
Yes.
High five! That's awesome. Do you use MailChimp?
No.
Oh, what do you use for? You use SendGrid? What do you use for mail?
We use Sailthrough.
Sailthrough. What is Sailthrough? I never even heard of that.
Sailthrough's a
mail provider?
It's a little smarter. They've got some intelligence there.
Yeah. All right, so make a note, DeMont. Get Sailthrough on the program. All right, listen. Amazing episode. Thanks, Aaron. And sorry I didn't.
Thanks,
so wait, what was the last round at? Did you disclose? Was it?
No, we didn't disclose it.
So I'm going to guess 50, 100 million posts, something in that range?
Something in that range.
Okay. And so when did you raise that?
We closed a B round in October. We raised $15 million in October of last year.
Wow. So you're not going to raise again for 2 years?
Yeah, we're okay.
Oh.
All right.
Is there secondary going on here? Is there any secondary opportunity for me to put 100 dimes in?
We can talk offline.
Can I literally? No, we can do it on. Let's do it on the air. How about can I? The valuation is 50. Can I just give you $100,000 for some your common shares to make up for this at the last valuation? I won't take a discount on the common.
Let's see how your experience with the dog boarding
goes. All right, that's a good idea.
And then go from there.
Okay, here's the deal. Because I want to see if this would actually be appealing to you as a founder. How about if I have a good experience, I buy $100,000 in your common shares at the last valuation, but I agree to tweet every time I use the service, 10 tweets a year.
Right.
Would that be appealing to you?
I will check with my people.
Would you consider it? Well, you're the boss. You can do whatever you want.
I will consider it.
You would consider it?
Maybe not.
Really?
Maybe not.
Not you love that common so much now?
Let's see how your experience goes.
All right. I'm going to check my experience. I'm not selling my tweets, but in truth, this is the thing as an angel investor, I think a lot of people are like, hey, I want you as an angel investor because you're going to tweet the shit out of my company because I always tweet everything. I'm so excited about companies. Yeah. I mean, that's why I invested in Whisper. Right. Because I had them on the show and I was so, Michael from Whisper, he's just
I don't know him, but I know the business.
Yeah, they're just such a great entrepreneur with such a great vision. And I was just like, listen, I know you don't need money, but is there somebody in the company I can buy $100,000 worth of shares from? Because I'm such an idiot for not investing in this company. So anyway, I'll try to make it up to you, Aaron. I'm sorry for being an idiot. And I'm sorry to all the people who have pitched me as an angel, and I just blew it. I'm such an idiot. Sorry to myself. You're doing fine.
Don't be so hard on
I'm
yourself.
the one suffering here. I'm suffering, right? Come on. Give me a break.
It's called the high class problem.
Actually, producer Gina's taunting me. She's like, hashtag first world problem.
Yeah, exactly.
It's actually like hashtag 1%er first world, 1%er problem.
All of the above.
All of the above.
Yeah.
We're all so lucky to be in this amazing industry. We'll see you next time on This Week in Startups. Bye-bye.